আসসালামু আলাইকুম, কেমন আছেন? রিডিং চ্যালেঞ্জের 11তম দিনে আপনাদের স্বাগতম। আমি আছি তুষার আপনাদের সাথে। আম, রিডিং ভালো করতে হলে রিডিং পড়তে হবে, এর কোনো বিকল্প নাই। যার কারণে আমি 40 দিনের রিডিং চ্যালেঞ্জ নিয়েছি এবং যার আজকে 11তম দিন। আমি প্রতিদিন আর্টিকেল পড়ি এবং আপনাদের সাথে শেয়ার করি। আপনারা কেউ যদি আমার সাথে এই চ্যালেঞ্জ নিতে চান তাহলে প্লিজ আর্টিকেল লিঙ্কটি আমি ডেসক্রিপশন বক্সে দিয়ে দিব। এখান থেকে আপনারা পড়ে নেবেন এবং আমাকে কমেন্ট বক্সে অবশ্যই জানাবেন যে আপনার কত মিনিট সময় লাগলো আর্টিকেলটি পড়তে। আমি দুইভাবে আর্টিকেল পড়ি। এক হচ্ছে ফার্স্টে বুঝে বুঝে সব কিছু বুঝে শুনে রিডিং পড়ি, প্রোনাউন্সিয়েশন দেখি এবং দেখি যে কতক্ষণ সময় লাগলো। তারপরে জাস্ট প্রথম থেকে শেষ পর্যন্ত টানা রিডিং পড়ে দেখি কত সময় লাগলো। তো এটাতে আমাকে আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ডিং পাওয়ার বাড়াবে এবং আমার স্ক্যানিং ক্ষমতা বাড়াবে। ওকে, কথা না বাড়িয়ে আজকে রিডিং আর্টিকেল শুরু করে দিই। আমরা এখন বর্তমানে ট্রাভেল বেস পড়ছি। ট্রাভেলের ভিতরে কালচার, ডিসকভার, লাইফস্টাইল, হিস্ট্রি এগুলো থাকবে, অ্যাডভেঞ্চার। তো এগুলো নিয়ে আমরা পড়বো যাতে আমাদের রিডিং আইএলস রিডিংয়ে কিছুটা হেল্প হয়। বিলিভ মি, অবশ্যই হেল্প হবে ইনশাল্লাহ। ওকে, তার আগে স্টপ ওয়াচটা চালু করে দিই। মনে রাখতে হবে আজকে 11তম দিন। ওকে, আজকে যেই আর্টিকেলটি আমি নিয়েছি সেটা হচ্ছে ইয়েমেনস অ্যানসেন্ট। ইয়েমেন 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 অ্যানসেন্ট। অ্যানসেন্ট মানে প্রাচীন।
Yemen's ancient.
ইয়েমেনস অ্যানসেন্ট soaring skyscraper cities. Soaring, I don't know the soaring meaning.
Soaring.
Soaring,
Soaring.
soaring মানে বৃদ্ধি।
Soaring.
Soaring, soaring, soaring means বৃদ্ধি। Soaring,
Soaring.
soaring. Yemen's ancient soaring skyscraper cities. উঁচু উঁচু বিল্ডিং, আকাশচুম্বী শহর। Yes.
Skyscraper cities.
Skyscraper.
Skyscraper cities.
Skyscraper cities. Skyscraper cities. Skyscraper. This is a nice word. Skyscraper. This is a very nice word. We can use this word in our speaking or in our writing also. Wow, this is a nice skyscraper building. Okay. Yemen ancient, প্রাচীন ইয়েমেন, soaring skyscraper cities, আকাশচুম্বী বিল্ডিং দিয়ে বৃদ্ধি এবং ভরপুর। Yemen ancient. We can see a chanting picture here. This is a picture taken from Yemen ancient cities, and this article published by Ulrich Lemim all free 5th October 2021. Okay, please take a pen and a note so that you can write down the important words from here. Okay, constructed using natural materials. Constructed using natural materials. Natural materials. Constructed using natural materials. প্রাকৃতিক উপকরণ ব্যবহার করে নির্মিত। Those buildings are constructed by natural material. There is no artificial cement, um, like that. They are all things as natural. Yemeni high rises are superbly sustainable. Superbly sustainable. These buildings are so sustainable. I mean, চমৎকারভাবে টেকসই।
Superbly sustainable.
Superbly, SUBERBLY, superbly sustainable and perfectly suited to the hot and dry Arabian desert climate, and perfectly suited এবং perfectly suitable for to the hot weather and also the dry Arabian desert climate. Okay, So the heading is those buildings are constructed by natural materials. There is all the equipment are collected by nature, and Yemeni highways are superb. These buildings are superb, sustainable, and perfectly suitable of any weather. For example, the hot or the sweltering hot weather, or Arabian the desert climate. And you know that the Arabian desert climate is how harsh. Okay, so stepping through Bab al Yaman, enormous is the nice word to increase your brand level in IELTS writing. Okay, enormous,
Enormous.
enormous,
Enormous.
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 Stepping through Babel Yamin, the enormous gate allowing access into Yamin's old walled city of Sonas, was like stepping through a portal into another world. The enormous gate, on a gate allowing access into Yamin's old walled city of Sonas. Sonas is the name of Yemen. Old city's name is Sonas. Was like stepping. Was like stepping means Podokep was like stepping through a portal into another world. Shell skinny buildings. Skinny buildings means চর্মসার ভবন skinny. I don't know the Bengal চর্মসার what is the mean of চর্মসার I don't know, but skinny building tall skinny building were cramped. What is the mean of cramped মানে ক্রিয়া skinny building were cramped into the narrow lens, cramped into the narrow lens. আচ্ছা আমি একটু বাংলাটা দেখে নিই।
সরু গলিতে চর্মসার ভবনগুলো উঁকে পড়েছিল। সরু গলিতে চর্মসার ভবনগুলো উঁকে পড়েছিল।
Skinny building were cramped into the narrow LANES, leno, সরু lens that connected lush fruit. Lush fruit means রসালো।
Lush fruit.
Lush fruit.
Lush fruit.
Lush fruit, রসালো ফল. Okay, I like to eat lush fruit. I write down this word so that I can use in speaking when the examiner ask anyone that what's your favorite food. Then I replied the examiner that I give answer that I can give answer that yes, I love the lush fruit. It's my favorite one. Lush fruit. Lush fruit. Please write down this word if you anybody here with me. Okay, so please write down, take a note. Lush fruit, রসালো ফল। রসালো ফল, the connected lush fruit, okay, narrow lens that connected lush fruit. Okay, so I can understand that there have the roadside have connected the lush fruit and vegetables gardens with the ancient swag means the ancient swag, where donkeys are still sold. Where donkeys means গাধা, where donkeys mean গাধা, where donkeys are still sold, যেখানে donkeys sold করা হতো। I saw locksmith mending enormous metal. I saw locksmith means locksmith, I don't know. I saw locksmith mending enormous mending means উত্তম। I saw locksmith mending তালামের মধ্যে দেখেছি, আমি তালামের মধ্যে দেখেছি। I saw locksmith
I saw locksmiths mending.
locksmith
I saw locksmiths mending.
locksmith mending লকস্মিথ মেন্ডিং, তালা মেরামত করা। when we are আমাদের যখন তালা মেরামত করার প্রয়োজন হয়, এটা আমরা ইংরেজিতে বলতে পারি যে I need to locksmith mending my I need to mending my locksmith. Enormous metal keys that open imposing wooden doors, that ancient swag imposing wooden doors. Enormous metal. Okay, I saw locksmith mending, তালা মেরামত করে enormous metal দিয়ে metal keys চাবি দিয়ে that open imposing wooden doors, the open imposing wooden doors, কাঠের দরজা চাপানো, that open imposing wooden doors কাঠের দরজা যেটা দেওয়া থাকে। vendor selling, a vendor selling means বিক্রেতা বিক্রি।
Vendor selling.
A vendor selling prickly pears from a chart, মানে কি?
একটি বিক্রেতা একটি কাঠ থেকে কাঁটাযুক্ত নাশপাতি বিক্রি করছে।
A vendor selling prickly pears from a chart, and a local baker pulling fresh bread from a hot glowing hole in the ground, and that local baker
Local baker.
I mean the local bakery pulling fresh bread. Pulling means টানা। The local baker pulling fresh bread from a hot glowing উজ্জ্বল hot glowing hole in the ground, ground মানে স্থল। কি করা হচ্ছে? hot bread তৈরি করা হচ্ছে in a tiny room, একটি ছোট একটি রুমে। tiny means small room, camel একটি উট, threads, what is this?
Trudged. Trudged. Trudged.
thrust, thrust. Okay, baker pulling fresh bread from a hot glowing hole in the ground in the tiny room. A camel traced in tight circle, powering a milestone, crushing simsmith. Powering milestone, crushing simsmith মানে
তিলের বীজ গুঁড়ো করে একটি মিলস্টোন।
milestone, powering a crushing sesame seeds মানে তিলের বীজ।
Sesame seeds.
sesame seeds
Sesame seeds.
তিলের বীজ।
Sesame seeds.
sesame seeds
Sesame seeds.
sesame seeds তিলের বীজকে বলা হচ্ছে ইংলিশে
Sesame
sesame
seeds.
seeds. Okay, but despite all the visual stimulus, visual
Visual stimulus.
visual stimulus
Visual stimulus.
stimulus
Visual stimulus.
visual stimulus চাক্ষুষ উদ্দীপনা। but despite all the visual stimulus, এত চাক্ষুষ সবকিছু উত্তেজনা দেখা সত্ত্বেও, it was the architecture that dominated the skin, না এটা কি?
Scene.
scene dominated the scene. It was the architecture dominated the scenes.
এটি স্থাপত্য যা দৃশ্যের উপর প্রভাব বিস্তার করেছে।
ওকে, এত কিছু থাকা সত্ত্বেও এর বিল্ডিং গুলো প্রথম কি করতো? ডোমিনেটেড করতো এই সিনারি গুলোকে। it was the architecture that dominated the skin. It was the architecture, but despite all the visual stimulus, it was the architecture that dominated the skin. Okay, Sana's is filled with buildings. Sana is a town. We wrote it down in earlier time, in earlier of this article. Sanas is the Yemen town. This name is Sanas. Is full of skyscrapers building. We have a picture. We show a picture for we see a picture in the beginning of this article. Sanas filled with buildings unlike anywhere else in the world. Sanas filled with building unlike anywhere else in the world. At street level, where mood break at street level, where mood break means kada it mood break walls are only broken up by large wooden doors. Oh, mood breaks
কাদা ইটের দেয়ালগুলি কেবল বড় কাঠের দরজা দিয়ে ভেঙে যায়
where mood breaks walls are only broken up by large wooden doors. There was often not much to see. There's often not much to see, but when I looked up, I realized this slender building, these slender buildings, slenders,
Slender buildings.
slender buildings,
Slender buildings.
slender, slender, slender buildings.
Slender buildings.
ওকে আমি একটু লিখে ফেলি এটা slender buildings, slender buildings শুরু ভ্রমণ ওকে Aristotle slender buildings, not much to see, but when I looked up, I realized these slender buildings, some with just one or two rooms to a floor, soared high into the sky. Two rooms to a floor. Two rooms that was two rooms or a floor with a floor soared high into the sky. Soared high into the sky. That building was skyscrapers, but there have no numerous room. The building have just two rooms or two floor. While the lower floor যখন নিচতলা at street level রাস্তার দিকে were windowless due to their use as animal shelters or working spaces. Were windowless. They have the lower floor haven't any windows due to the workplace or work facilities. The ornate windows higher up were either covered by stained glass. The ornate windows means অলংকৃত জানালা. Okay, the ornate windows higher up were either covered by stained glass. Stained glass means দাগযুক্ত কাচ.
Stained glass.
Stained glass or by delicate mashrabia screens protected the privacy of the women inside. Okay, I have a call, so I have to receive. The window masher screen protecting the privacy of women inside. The windows frames and the fridges the window frames and the fridges between the floor were marked in intricate white limb. What is this? White limb, সাদা চুন.
White lime.
Oh, lime. Oh, sorry. White lime. Lime মানে চুন. White lime.
White lime.
White lime. The window frames and the fridge. What's the me? Fridge. F-R-I-E. Fridges. F-R-I-E-Z-E-S. Fridges. The window frames and the fridges between the floors were marked in intricate. Intricate means what the meaning of intricate? Jotil.
Intricate.
intricate,
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 intricate, intricate,
intricate,
মানে জটিল, intricate. Oh,
intricate,
this work is so intricate for me. Intricate, intricate. I can't do this work because I seems it's so intricate for me. Intricate, intricate for me. It's so intricate to me to do this work. Okay, intricate, 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 intricate. লিখে ফেলে intricate. Students have to do some mathematics terms that feel like so intricate for them. Intricate, intricate, cat, in intricate মানে হচ্ছে জটিল. Intricate, intricate,
intricate,
intricate. Intricate white line to contrast the mood color background. Contrast the mood color background. কাদা রঙের পটভূমির বিপরীত.
কাদা রঙের পটভূমির বিপরীতে
ও, কাদা রঙের পটভূমির বিপরীতে কি করা হচ্ছে? ইন্ট্রিকেট হোয়াইট লাইম, মানে জটিল হোয়াইট লাইম দিয়ে ঘরটা ফ্লোর গুলো সুন্দরভাবে মসৃণ করে রং করা হচ্ছে. ওকে, ক্রিয়েটিং gingerbread house effect. Creating gingerbread house effect. Creating.
একটি জিঞ্জার ব্রেড হাউস ইফেক্ট তৈরি করা
Okay, many had rooftop terraces, rooftop terraces. So many buildings have rooftop terraces which double as entertainment space as well as outdoor bedrooms on warm nights. Which doubled as entertainment spaces. They have entertainment spaces as well as outdoor, এবং outdoor as well as means and জনসের রাতে পাহাড়ের শয়নকক্ষ. ওকে, আউটডোর বেডরুমস অন ওয়ার্ম নাইটস. সুন্দর একটি রাত কাটানোর জন্য আলাদা রুমও রয়েছে, বেডরুম. The magnificence of building. The magnificence means the magnificence, মহিমা. The magnificence of the buildings together with their simply practically made for an inspiring architectural vision. Inspiring architectural vision. অনুপ্রেরণামূলক স্থাপত্য দৃষ্টি. Okay, together with their simple practicality made for an inspiring architectural vision. Okay, in this para, the writer tried to describe a little bit about their home style. I mean the building style, what was about room, how their windows and about windows, about their others facility, the color of the building, how the building are made, how the equipment. So there's the all the writer tried to describe in this passage, in this para, especially particularly in this para. Okay, now I'm read the second para of the next para of this article. From the alleyway means গলিপথ থেকে.
from the alleyway,
Alleyway.
from the alleyway,
Wow, I have an alleyway in front of our building. I haven't know. I didn't জানতাম না. I didn't know. Okay, I didn't know about this word, or what's the meaning of goli. What's the English word? Goli is a Bengali word. This English word is alleyway. Alleyway.
from the
alleyway. Okay, from the alleyway. Okay, যাদের বাড়ির সামনে গলি রয়েছে বা আশেপাশে গলি রয়েছে তারা বলতে পারেন, ব্যবহার করতে পারেন alleyway. alleyway. ওকে, একটু আগে আমরা একটা ওয়ার্ড শিখলাম, সেটা হচ্ছে intricate. We learn a word sometimes before, that is intricate, জটিল, and now we learn another word. This is alleyway. It means gully, the narrow road, the narrow space. We can use in a sentence both of this word. Okay, how can I effect? I'm gonna try to speak in this word now, in those two word now. Okay, make it a simple sentence. Okay, in front of my building there have alleyway. Believe me, this is so intricate to find out any home in this alleyway. So I feel really depressed, and I feel really confused to seeking my friend's house here. Okay, from the alleyway, it was practically impossible to appreciate the true height of this building. Okay, this is so impossible to tackle down the exact tallest exact height of those building. But when I reached the sock, যখন আমি সেখানে যাই, I could see that some were up to 7 stories high. I climbed up on a 7th floor rooftop that had been converted into a cafe. The old town lay below me. Lay below me. আমার নিচে শুয়ে থাকো।
Lay below me.
The old town lay below me. Okay, the highest building may be the 7th floor here, but the neighboring buildings were mostly as tall as the one I was on. Evoking it. This is word I learned in the last article. Evoking mean uddipok. Okay, evoking the strange sensation of being surrounded by skyscrapers. I could almost have been in Dubai or New York. Okay, they feel like that this is Dubai, or this is New York, where so many skyscrapers building available here. But how is work? Okay, how many years ago, the thousands years ago, the building was made by Yemen. Made by Yemen city. Wow, that's the nice history. That's night. Sound good. Okay, almost have been in Dubai or New York. Only that this construction were somewhere between 300 or 500 years old and built from mud or mud.
Mud.
Built from mud. Okay, how unbelievable! The skyscrapers building were made by mud. Now in this time, we're gonna see that the every building are built by cement, rod, the heavyweight, the heavyweight rod, stone. Um, oh, that's so nice. Some of Yemen's skyscrapers can reach up to around 30 meters in height, and the first modern skyscrapers is Chicago were only slightly taller than that. Chicago, okay, the first modern skyscrapers in Chicago were only slightly taller than that. Yemen is scattered মানে বিক্ষিপ্ত,
Scattered.
is
Scattered.
scattered,
Scattered.
scattered,
Scattered.
scattered,
Scattered.
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 Yemen is scattered with similar soaring construction. Soaring means কি যেন দেখলাম, বৃদ্ধি। Okay, is scattered বিশৃঙ্খলভাবে বৃদ্ধি পাচ্ছে, construction বৃদ্ধি পাচ্ছে from those in similar villages to bigger towns, such as the famous Shibam, dubbed in 930 the Mohattan on the desert by Anglo-Italian explorer Darius Stark, or the Al-Hajar, the Imam place of the rock. The Yemeni skyscrapers style of architecture is so unique that the cities of Jabid, the Yemeni skyscrapers style of characteristics is so unique that the cities of Jabid. Okay, Javid cities have also the skyscrapers building, but Yemen cities have so different from Jabid. Shaiban and the old city of Shunas have been recognized as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Wow, that's nice. Oh, sounds good. The UNESCO have declared recognized the UNESCO World Heritage Site like our Sundarban Sundarban of Bangladesh with the tradition dating at least the 8th and 9th centuries, according to Trevor Marsden, professor of social anthropology on London School of Oriental and African Studies and author architectural heritage of Yemen buildings that fill my eyes. Okay, exact dating is next to impossible. সঠিক ডেটিং বলাটা অনেক অসম্ভব as this smart brick or a dub building need to be constantly pitched up patch up and restore to keep them is from succumbing means succumbing the harsh element. But medieval sources tell us that the Gomdom place is a Sanas, allegedly built in 3rd century BC and the seat of Yemen ancient Sheban rulers was 20 stories high and elaborately decorated স্বাধীনভাবে ঘোষণা করা হয়েছিল বিস্তৃতভাবে সজ্জিত elaborately decorated. Okay, I have a room. I if I make a sentence elaborately decorated. Okay, how was about your room? Suppose the examiner asked me that, what's your favorite room in your building, in your flat? Then I replied that yes, I have a nice room here. All equipment are elaborately decorated. For example, in the right corner of my house, there have a comfy sofa where I can sitting down in the evening time and gossiping some with my friends, and sometimes watching movie on sitting on my sofa. And apart from that, there in their wall, there's so many paintings, the world famous paintings which I bought in from London, and I hanging on my wall so that I feel like, oh, this is a nice picture, this chanting room for me. Okay, Marston said Sabian rulers was 20 stories high and elaborately decorated. অনেক সুসজ্জিতভাবে কি সাজানো, elaborately decorated. Okay, what makes the Yemeni skyscrapers so unique is that they are still in use, just as they were hundreds of years ago. Okay, what's the matter of being unique, the Yemens? This is the only one reason that the wall buildings are made by mud in so many years ago. In the old town of Sonas, for example, while a few have been converted into hotels and cafes, the majority are still used as private residence. As children, we would play soccer. Football. Soccer means football. জানতাম না তো।
Soccer.
Soka in the tight alleyway মানে অলিগলি আটসাট অলিগলি গলি in the tight alleyway and as thin as world sheep puffy under the bright stained glass, said Aropa Maka Place advocate of Yemen Relief and Reconstruction Foundation. Yet, as I travel around the country, marveling, বিস্ময়কর, marveling at these skyscraper cities. Wow, marveling. I could not help but wonder why the Yemenis Yemeni Yemenis
Yemenis.
Yemenis built this high-rise considering the vast desert expanses of their country. Salma Samar Damlu's architect and author, the architecture of Yemen and its reconstruction, told me that construction was in fact traditionally restricted to small sites. Small sites, traditionally restricted to small sites. Okay, small buildings are constructed. Small buildings are restricted to construct in the city, meaning building needed to be vertical, ulumbo, vertical. Towns and cities had an outer wall, culture, and a further boundary from the desert. She said, explaining that not only were the wall and the surrounding desert a barrier to any urban development, explaining that not only were the wall and the surrounding desert a barrier to any urban development, but any agriculturally viable means কার্যকর agriculturally viable space was deemed deemed gonna deemed too valuable to build on, so that building upward in entirely formed clusters was the preferred opinion. Okay, preferred key opinion দিল further boundary from desert. She said, explaining that not only এখান থেকে আমি এ পর্যন্ত বাংলা করে ফেলি।
প্রাচীর এবং আশেপাশের মরুভূমি যেকোনো নগর উন্নয়নের জন্য একটি বাধা ছিল না, তবে যেকোনো কৃষিগতভাবে কার্যকর স্থান নির্মাণের জন্য খুব মূল্যবান বলে মনে করা হয়েছিল, যাতে শক্তভাবে গঠিত ক্লাস্টারে উপরের দিকে ছিল পছন্দের।
But any agricultural viable space were deemed to মানে গণ্য করা হয়েছিল deemed to লিখে ফেলি গণ্য করা deemed to valuable to build on, so that building upward entirely from cluster was the preferred option. It was also the need for protection that made Yemen's settlement huddle together rather than sprawl across the land. মানে জুড়ে ছড়িয়ে থাকা ভূমি জুড়ে ছড়িয়ে থাকা okay it's also protect these cities. It's one of the reason for making the highest building here. Living in an inhospitable desert, security and the ability to look out across the land for approaching enemies শত্রুদের কাছে okay Yemen settlement huddle together means huddle together একসাথে জড়িয়ে huddle together rather than বরং sprawl across the land মানে ছড়িয়ে ছিটিয়ে থাকার থেকে living in an inhospitable desert এমন একটি inhospitable আবাসহীন ডিজার্টে থাকা security and the ability to look out across the land for approaching enemies okay এটা একটা কারণ together with the ability to look the cities gates at night had to be considered in any town planning যাতে এটা ভালোভাবে তারা প্রোটেকশন দিতে পারে দেখতে পারে বড় বড় বিল্ডিং থেকে সবকিছু মিলাই তারা এনিমি থেকে যেন রক্ষা পায় অ্যাপ্রোচিং এনিমি এই জন্যই আর কি বিল্ডিংগুলো বড় বড় করে তৈরি করা হতো এই ভারসাম্যহীন একটি ডিজার্টের ভিতর যেখানে মানুষজন থাকে না এখানে বসবাস করার জন্য okay an important contributing factor to Yemen's history of tower house was the need for security against invading forces. Invading forces means হানাদার বাহিনী invading forces
Invading forces.
invading forces, as well as during time of local tribal dispute or civil war. Merson explained. Okay, it's also another important contribution is that the tower house, because the Yemen's people are really conscious about tower house, and it's feel like so easy to look after the whole town or whole city from so many tower house. They can protect against animal. They can protect against animals or any enemies at the time. Constructed using natural materials, Yemeni high rises are superbly sustainable and perfectly suited to the hot and dry Arabian desert climate. Roof terraces double as open air bedrooms. Roof tra roof trusses roof trusses means Satres double for your bedrooms, while screens on the windows invite even the slightest breeze to enter the house. Okay, well, যখন screen on the windows invite even the slightest breeze. Sorry, breeze means মৃদু হাওয়া Hawa to enter the house, while also allowing light but not too much the heat, not too much heat. Okay, light breeze come in the house for roof trusses double. That's why the breeze come, so a little bit light come in the daytime. uh, it's really incredible construction and the time. Unbucked earth in an exceptional thermal mass, added Ronald Reuel, professor of architecture at UC Berkeley, who specializes in building made from mud, যে মাটি দিয়ে তৈরি করতে অনেক দক্ষ, and is himself living in the great grandfather's Dove House in southern Colorado. He explained that it both observe and releases heat slowly during the day as the sun beats upon the wall. Beat upon the wall, সানটা রোদের উপরে মানে সানটা ওয়ালের উপরে পড়ে খুব জোরে সোরে, that heat from the sun slowly observe into the wall. এটা অবজার্ভ করে নাই the wall observe the hot, I mean the heat of sun. As the sun beats upon the wall, the heat from the sun slowly observe into wall at night. As at night falls, that heat is slowly released. Earthen buildings remain a comfortable temperature. Okay, in the daytime, the wall are consumed or observe the heat of the sun, and in the night time, it's released the heat from in between the wall. So that's help to comfortable remain a comfortable weather in in the building. This simple natural effect has made the building is still popular today and explains the endurance of Yemen's mud architecture. Endurance means টেকসই, endurance, endurance, সহনশীল মাত্রা অনেক বেশি ছিল, incredibly, অবিশ্বাস্যভাবে, অবিশ্বাস্যভাবে. Construction usually didn't use scaffolding. ভাড়া.
Scaffolding.
Okay, construction usually didn't use scaffolding. Instead, master builders would start with a stone foundation. With a stone foundation. কি বলছে? Master builds.
মাস্টার নির্মাতারা একটি পাথর ভিত্তি দিয়ে শুরু করবে।
Okay, often some 2 m deep, upon which mud bricks were laid in running bones. Upon which mud, সেই মাঠটি কি করা হবে? Bricks were laid in running bones. চলমান বন্ধনে আবদ্ধ রানিং বন্ড meaning one brick is overlapped by two above. One brick meaning এর মানে হচ্ছে one brick একটি ইট is overlapped রাখা হবে overlapped রাখা হবে by two above.
মানে একটি ইট উপরের দুটি দ্বারা আচ্ছাদিত।
একটি ইট উপরে দুটি দ্বারা আচ্ছাদিত। They then slowly built upward তারা উপরের দিকে চলে যেত placing wooden joists for strength and adding floors made from wood and palm materials as they went higher up. Wooden placing wooden joist কাঠের জয়েস্ট স্থাপন ফর স্ট্রেন্থ শক্তিশালী করার জন্য and adding floors made অ্যাড করা হতো from wood কাঠের and palm materials as they went higher up. Okay, scaffolding was generally only used at the later date once the house was finished and needed replastering replastering or restoration. এটা আবার replastering and restoration করা হতো. However, according to Damluji, these building skills are on the brink of extinction. These building skills বিলুপ্ত দ্বার প্রান্তে who are construct the building they are the extinction nowadays they don't have in alive maybe all of the alive in the world some of these are men are alive still now. We are looking at a structure that can stand up the 300 years and more. 6 and 7 story buildings built out of sun-dried mud brick in a way that no contemporary architect can build today. That no contemporary okay there in the modern world no architecture can building that way at the time at about 300 years ago they made. Okay, to prevent this knowledge from being lost, Damluzi worked closely with Down Architecture Foundation, which is striving to preserve this method of building, encouraging the use of traditional materials and methods over modern convenience. Okay, I cannot begin to describe the pride of living in a home preserved by generations of ancestors. They are our connection to the past. Okay, it's really a back history, past history, primitive history, and primitive building. These historical buildings are also under threat from constant wind erosion. বায়ু ক্ষয়ের জন্য এটা অনেক ডেঞ্জারাস মোডে আছে war and the economic struggles that prevent families from looking after their fragile homes ভাঙা ঘরবাড়ি properly. In 2020 UNESCO surveyed some 808,000 of these architectural marvels and restored 78 that were on the brink of collapse. পতনের কিনারায় শেষের দিকে চলে আসছে বিল্ডিং এর মেয়াদ ইউনেস্কো is doing its utmost to save as many buildings as possible, but it is difficult under current circumstances. Okay, UNESCO they because as the architecture of primitive architecture it's a answer in history. That's why UNESCO try to collect and try to preserve all buildings, but that is not possible to maintain the all buildings and their area, and it seems difficult for UNESCO to look after the building and difficult under current circumstance, particularly in the current circumstance. Okay, it is a harrowing experience. This is new word for me. হতাশাজনক অভিজ্ঞতা.
Harrowing experience.
Harrowing experience. Okay, this word is so interesting to me. Harrowing double R O W I N G. Harrowing experience. EXPE experience. EXPERIENCE experience মানে হতাশাজনক হতাশাজনক অভিজ্ঞতা. It was an harrowing experience to witness history turn into rebels, said Mogdon. This distraction is loss for all of humanity. This distraction এবং ধ্বংস সমগ্র মানবজাতির জন্য ক্ষতিকর. Yes, she added, anywhere else, this building would be museum pieces, but in Yemen they remain homes. I cannot begin to describe the period of living in a home preserved by generation of ancestors. They are our connection to the past. Yes, really. Okay, ancient engineering marvels in BBC travel series that take inspiration from unique architecture, idea, or ingenious construction built by past civilization and culture across the planet. That's the whole scenario of this article. This article really, I feel like lucky to read. What an incredible building made by Marge. It's really a good architecture and skillful architecture that have that time. Now no architecture wanted to make that type of building. Oh, okay. So now I have to see how much time I need. I need 51 minutes to read this article. Wow, that's a long time. Okay, no, don't worry. One day I will read so fastly. One day I read like horse. Okay, now I reset this time, and this time I read down all the article, just reading without understanding, without anything, just read. Okay, okay. Let's see how much time I have need this reading article. Constructed using natural materials, Yemeni highways are superbly sustainable and perfectly suited to the hot and dry Arabian desert climate. Stepping through Bab el Yemen, the enormous gate allowing access into Yemen's old walled city of Shanaz was like stepping through a portal into another world. Tall, skinny buildings were crammed into the narrow lanes that connected lush forest and vegetables gardens with the ancient swag where donkeys are still sold. I saw locksmiths mending enormous metal keys that open imposing wooden doors, a vendor selling picky pears from a cart, and the local baker pulling fresh bread from a hot glowing hole in the ground. In the tiny room, a camel trays in tight circle powering a milestone crashing said sesame seeds. But despite all the visual stimulus, it was the architecture that dominated the skin. Sonas filled with building unlike anywhere else in the world. At street level, where mud brick walls are only broken by a large wooden doors, there was often not much to see. But when I looked up, I realized this slender buildings with just on terms or floor soared high into the sky, while a lower floor at the street level were windowless due to their use in animal shelter or working spaces. The ornate windows higher up were either covered by stained glass or by delicate material screens protecting the privacy of the women inside. The window frames and the frieze between the floor were marked in intricate white lime to contrast the mud-colored background, creating a gingerbread house effect. Many had rooftop terraces which double as entertainment spaces as well as outdoor bedrooms on warm nights. The magnificence of buildings together with their simple practically made for an inspiring architecture vision. From the alleyway, it was practically impossible to appreciate the true height of this building, but when I reached the sock, I could see that some were up to 7 story high. I climbed up to 7th floor rooftop that had been converted into a cafe. The old town lay below me, but the neighboring buildings were mostly as tall as the one I was on, evoking the strange sensation of being surrounded by skyscraper. I could almost have been in Dubai or a New York City, only that these constructions were somewhere between 300 and 500 years old and built from mud. Some of Yemen's skyscraper can reach up around 30 meters in height, and the first modern skyscraper in Chicago were only Israeli taller than that. Yemen is scattered with similar soaring constructions from these is smaller villages to bigger towns such as the famous Shiban, Daban, and the 930 the method of the desert by Anglo-Italian explorer Damon Freya Stark, or the exquisitely decorated no excuse where's the pronunciation
exquisitely decorated.
exquisitely decorated Dar al Hajar, the Imam's place of the rock. The Yemeni skyscraper style of architecture is so unique that the cities Jabit, Shiban, and the old city of Sanas have been recognized as UNESCO World Heritage Sites, with a tradition dating at least the 18th and 19th centuries, according to Trevor Marchant, professor of social anthropology at London School of Oriented and African Studies and author of Architectural Heritage of Yemen Buildings that fill my eyes, dating in next is possible, impossible, next to impossible, as this mud, brick, or dabbed building need to be constantly pieced up and restored to keep them from succumbing to the harsh element. But medieval sources tell us that the gummed down places in Sanas illegally built in 3rd century BC, and the seat of Yemen's ancient Shaban rulers was 20 stories high and elaborately decorated, Marson said. What makes the Yemeni skyscrapers so unique is that they are still in use, just as they were hundreds of years ago. In the old towns, Sonas, for example, while a few have been converted into hotels and cafes, the majority are still used as private residence. As children, we would play soccer in the tight alleyway, and as teens, we would sip coffee under the bright stained glass, said Arua Marked, this advocate for Yemen Relief and Reconstruction Foundation. Okay, as we travel around the country, marveling at these skyscraper cities, I could not help but wonder why the Yemens built these high rises, considering the vast desert expanses of their country. Salma Samar Damluji, architect and author the architecture of Yemen and its reconstruction, told me that construction was in fact traditionally restricted to small cities, meaning building needed to be vertical. Towns and cities had an outer wall called Sur and a further boundary from the desert. They said, explaining that Not only were the wall and the surrounding desert barrier to any urban development, but any agriculturally viable space were deemed too valuable to build on, so that building upward in entirely from closures was the preferred options. It was also the need for protection that made Yemen's settlement huddle together rather than sprawl across the land, living in the inhospitable desert. Security and ability to look out across the land for approaching enemies, together with the ability to look the city's gates at night, had to be considered in any town planning. An important contribution factor to Yemen history of tower house was the need for security against invading forces, as well as during time of local tribal dispute of civil war. Merson explained. Constructed using natural materials, the Yemeni high-rise are superbly sustainable and perfectly suited to the hot and dry Arabian desert climate. Roof trusses double as open-air bedrooms, while screens on windows invite and slightest breeze to enter the house, while also allowing light but not too much heat. An unbacked earth is an exceptional thermal mass, added Ronald Trill, professor of architecture at UC Berkeley, who specializes in building made from mud, and in himself living in his great grandfather at the house in southern Colorado. He explained that in both observe and releases heat slowly during the day, and as the sun beats upon the wall, the heat from the sun slowly absorbs into the wall as night falls, that the heat is slowly released. Earthen buildings remain a comfortable temperature. This simple natural effect has made that the building is still popular today and explain the endurance, diamonds, and most mud architecture. Incredibly, construction usually didn't use scaffolding. In a straight master buildings would start with a stone foundation, often some 2 meters deep, upon which mud bricks were laid in running bones, meaning one brick is overlapped by two above. They then slowly build upward, placing wooden joists for strength and adding floors made from wood and palm materials as they went higher up. Is- Scaffolding was generally only used at a later date, once the house was finished and needed replastering and restoration. However, according to Damluji, these buildings still are on brink of extinction. We are looking at a structure that can stand for the 300 years and more. 6 and 7 story building built out sun-dried mud brick in a way that no contemporary architect can build today. Okay, to prevent this knowledge from being lost, Dimlas worked closely with Down Architecture Foundation, which is trially to preserve this method of building, encouraging the use of traditional materials and methods over modern convenience. I cannot begin to describe the pride of living in a home preserved by generating of ancestors. They are our connection to the past. The historical buildings are also under threat from constant wind direction, war, and the economic struggle that prevent families from looking after their frugal homes properly. In 2020, UNESCO surveyed some 8,000 of these architecture marvels and restored 78 that were in brink of collapse. UNESCO is doing it almost to save as many buildings as possible, but it's difficult under the current circumstances. It is a harrowing experience to witness history turn into rebels, said mocked. This distraction is lost for all of humanity. She added, anywhere else, this building would be museum pieces, but in Yemen they remain homes. I cannot begin to describe the pride of living in a home preserved by generation of ancestors. They are our connection to the past, ancient engineering marvels in BBC travel series that takes inspiration from unique architectural idea or ingenious constructions built by past civilization and culture across the planet. Okay, that's all about today's article. I read out all the article and all the passages in this article. It is article about to Yemen building, skyscraper building, and how they were made, how they are construct the building, and the compared to the present, and the building are made by mud. বিল্ডিং এর জানালাগুলো অনেক বেটার ছিল. The building have windows. Some building are windowless. For example, but rooftop have the unique way built. That's why the freeze wind come um, in the house. And after that, the building in daytime, the building preserve the heat of the sun heat, and in the nighttime they release the heat from the building. That's why the cool, there's the comfortable climate remain in day and overnight in their building. Wow, how fabulous and how wonder the building was in the past. ওকে, এটাই ছিল আজকের আর্টিকেল. আমার লেগেছে 13 মিনিট. ইনশাল্লাহ আস্তে আস্তে আমার কমে আসবে এটা. তো কথা বাড়াবো না. এই হচ্ছে আমার আর্টিকেল ছিল আজকে ইয়ামেন সম্পর্কে. আমি প্রাইম হিস্ট্রি নিয়েই, আই মিন দ্য কালচার হিস্ট্রি নিয়ে এখন পড়বো, কারণ এই বেস অনেক আর্টিকেল এসে থাকে আমাদের রিডিংয়ে, আইএলটিএস রিডিংয়ে. দ্যাটস ওয়াই আমি এখান থেকে চেষ্টা করবো এগুলো পড়ার. তো যাই হোক, আপনি যদি আপনার স্কিল বাড়াতে চান, পড়েন এবং পড়েন, এটা বাদ দিয়ে আর কোনো অপশন নাই, বিলিভ মি, আর কোনো অপশন নাই. আইএলটিএস রিডিং ভালো করার আর কোনো অপশন নাই. আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ডিং পাওয়ার যদি না থাকে, তাহলে হাজার টিপস ট্রিক্স জেনে কিচ্ছু হবে না, কিচ্ছু হবে না, কিচ্ছু হবে না. সো দেরি না করে আমার সাথে এই চ্যালেঞ্জটি নিন এবং নিজেকে আপগ্রেড করুন. আমি যেমনভাবে কষ্ট করছি, আমার সাথে এভাবে চলার চলুন. এতে আমার ভালো লাগবে, আমি কিছু ফিডব্যাক পাবো, আমার মিস্টেক, আমার ব্যাপারগুলো আমি বুঝতে পারবো. আপনার থেকে যখন আমি কারেকশন পাবো, তখন আমার জন্য বেটার হবে. ঠিক আছে, আপনি যদি এই আর্টিকেলটি পড়ে থাকেন, তাহলে অবশ্যই জানান যে আপনার প্রথমে বুঝে পড়তে কতক্ষণ সময় লাগলো, আর পরবর্তীতে আপনার রিডিং পড়তে কতক্ষণ সময় লাগলো. এতে আমার ভালো লাগা কাজ করবে. ওকে, বাই বাই, টাটা, নেক্সট টাইম দেখা হবে ইনশাল্লাহ. আল্লাহ হাফেজ.